Hello and welcome to BBC News at 6. The date is October 23rd, 1956. I'm Frederick Stevenson. Since 1944, after the Warsaw Uprising, in which a Polish rebellion against Nazi occupiers was crushed and Poland was liberated by the Soviets, Poland has been a satellite, even though it was declared a free state in the Yalta Convention of 1945. Under Soviet control, Poland has suffered from religious oppressions, restrictions of freedom, forced collectivization and deportation of nationals. Tonight's BBC special is an in-depth look at Polish communism from its beginning to modern day. We take you now to Warsaw to Andrea Johnson.
Hello. It was here, where I am standing now, that the Nazis dropped the first bomb on Warsaw in 1939, following the signing of the Nazi-Soviet Pact, a non-aggression agreement between Germany and the USSR. Both nations agreed to split Poland into two spheres of influence, 2/3 going to Germany and the remaining 1/3 in eastern Poland going to the USSR. Here is some footage from the time.
1 September 1939. In the pre-dawn hours, the tenuous peace that has settled over Europe since 1919 is shattered as German forces smash across the Polish border. The attack is in response to a supposed Polish raid into Germany. That incursion, near the town of Gliwice, was, in fact, staged by Nazi agents in Polish army uniforms. Hitler feigns outrage and launches what is certainly the biggest counterattack in history, 53 divisions in all. Poland is a plum ripe for the picking. Forming a round salient in the west, it is trapped between two massive German pincers to its north and south. The Polish army, while imposing on paper, in reality, stands no real chance against the German onslaught. The speed with which the German forces slice through the Polish defenses is astounding. German armored panzer divisions smash through the Polish lines on all fronts. The Luftwaffe pounds the roads and railroads, making reinforcement impossible. Close behind the tanks come armored infantry units. They exploit the massive holes the panzers have punched in the Polish lines. Once in the rear, the panzers fan out, creating havoc, disrupting communications, and striking Polish forces from all directions. The Luftwaffe pounds the roads and railroads, making reinforcement impossible. On 2 September, Hitler is jubilant. His armies are well ahead of schedule, and equally important and somewhat surprising, Britain and France have not yet honored their commitment to come to Poland's defense. This is crucial, the Germans know, because their border with France is guarded by only 10 divisions. A rapid response by France would meet essentially no resistance. On 3 September, Hitler's war turns into World War. At 9 a.m., the British issue an ultimatum, giving the Germans until 11 a.m. to begin pulling out of Poland or face war with the West. Hitler ridicules the demand and orders his forces to continue their advance. Everywhere, there are signs of the complete destruction of the Polish military. Smashed guns, dead men and horses, thousands of bewildered prisoners. On the 17th, the reeling Poles get a knife in the back. Russian Premier Joseph Stalin, wanting to get his share in the spoils of Poland, sends Red Army forces pouring across Poland's undefended eastern border. By the 19th, Polish resistance is unorganized and sporadic. Units who stand their ground and fight are surrounded and decimated. Those who try to withdraw and regroup face annihilation by the murderously effective Luftwaffe. Desperation turns to panic as the Poles realize there is nothing the Western powers can do to protect them from the bloodthirsty dictators. By 27 September, Warsaw is forced to surrender.
In 1944, the Soviets used the Warsaw Uprising to their advantage. At the time, the Germans were retreating and the Soviets were advancing. The Polish wanted their own freedom, so the Soviets wouldn't take over. The Polish underground supported the movement, and the Polish started a rebellion. However, they were in order to resist both Soviet and Nazi control. The Soviets waited until the Nazis had crushed the rebellion, however, until they entered the city, and the city at this point was destroyed. This move allowed the Soviets to exert influence over the Polish people and provided the opportunity to implement a totalitarian government in Poland. The government, although overseen by Stalin, who remained in the USSR, was run by appointed Soviets who were not proficient in Polish. Thus, a communist puppet government ruled Poland until Stalin's death in 1953. Poland and its people have only begun to emerge from the state of terror and oppression that has gripped the country for so long.
Thank you, Andrea. As she said, it was shortly after the takeover in 1944 that the Soviets liberated Warsaw from a slightly weakened Nazi army. After this, Poland was ruled indirectly by Stalin through a puppet state. We now take you live to Michael Hock in Moscow to discuss this further.
Hi, this is Mike Hock here, reporting from BBC in Moscow, Russia. Why I'm here, you ask? Communism. Communism, you say? Poland. Well, Polish communism starts after 1944, after the Warsaw Uprising. How did this happen? How? Well, it all started with a man named Beirut. Beirut was the communist puppet leader. The communist puppet leader, you ask? Well, it's really quite complex. Poland wasn't initially a communist country. It all started after the Warsaw Uprising of 1944, which in this uprising, the Soviets took control of the city of Warsaw. And initially, because of the US and the Allies, they did not want to be considered a communist country. So Beirut was a president. After 1952, he became a prime minister. This prime minister was then the leader of the Republic of Poland. During these years, it was a troubling time. All the resources taken out of the Polish territory and into Moscow for the economic growth. Well, Poland still struggles, but as we can see, it's been a culmination of events that led up to the People's Republic of Poland in 1952.
Thanks, Mike. We now take you live to our studio in New York to further discuss this topic with Professor Daniel Smith.
Thank you, Frederick. In 1953, Stalin died. This dramatically changed the dynamics of Poland. First, the Catholic Church was allowed to lead its opposition to communism in the early 1950s. Then, even more evident was in 1954, Gulbachik, who was the sworn enemy of Stalin, was released from prison and became the leader of the Communist Party in Poland. He changed the whole communism in Poland. First, he allowed for more churches, saved small farms from collectivization, and allowed for limited free speech. But all this was in vain as the economy did not improve.
Thank you, Professor. Though the changes are slight, things are definitely beginning to look up in the People's Republic of Poland. We can only hope for their sakes that the people there will begin to enjoy more and more freedom. Thanks for watching. This is Frederick Stevenson reporting live for the BBC.